Dillian Whyte's game plan in the Tyson Fury fight was the worst thing I've ever seen. But before I get into that, I'll talk about Tyson Fury first and what he did well at in this fight. Just because I don't want to be called a Tyson Fury hater, or an Anthony Joshua fanboy, or an Alexander Usyk fanboy, or a Deontay Wilder fanboy, or any other fighter who's a fanboy under the sun, right? So let's talk about Tyson Fury and what he did well at. I thought Tyson Fury boxed actually pretty well in this fight. You know what I mean? I thought he did a good job at maintaining distance control. He showed that he had a good ring IQ in this fight, right? He was picking his shots carefully. He was outboxing Dillian Whyte, but he wasn't being overly it's not like he was running around 24/7. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was at times, but I mean, he wasn't, he was actually being aggressive at times in this fight. You know what I mean? So overall, Tyson Fury did a good job, in this fight. He was picking up the volume as every round went on. And, that's that. You got to give credit to Tyson Fury. So, congratulations to Tyson Fury for putting on a good boxing show. Okay, now let's talk about Dillian Whyte. What the fuck was Dillian Whyte trying to do in this fight? I mean, honestly, what was he trying to do? Because I have no clue, what his game plan was going into this match, right? I just can't comprehend, what he thought was going to happen when he was going to try and, because, the way I saw this fight, I thought it seemed like he was just trying to outbox Tyson Fury, right? It's like he was trying to out-jab Tyson Fury and, throw some body shots here and there, throw some feints, try and be slick and, defend by moving his head and all that stuff. It's like he was trying to play Tyson Fury's game, and he should not have done that, right? In this fight, he wasn't fit. He wasn't fit enough at all in terms of, his game plan and stuff, right? I mean, I don't know, what his shape was like. I mean, Dillian Whyte isn't, he's not a guy who has, a six-pack or anything or looks like an athlete or whatever, right? But, I mean, I don't even pay attention to that stuff because we know that, bodies don't win fights and stuff like that, right? But in terms of, his mentality, I just don't understand. Why would you think it would be a good idea to try and outbox someone who's got a reach advantage on you and who's quicker than you with straight punches? I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Now look, me personally, I picked Dillian Whyte to win this fight, but I said that I wasn't going to care who would win, right? Because I'm not a fan of either guy, right? I'm not a Tyson Fury fan. I'm not a Dillian Whyte fan. You know what I mean? But all I wanted was a good fight. This was not a competitive fight. This is a one-sided beating on Tyson Fury's part. You know what I mean? And look, I'm not trying to take away anything from Tyson Fury. He went in with the right game plan and ultimately deserved the win, right? But I just don't understand what Dillian Whyte was trying to do, because the way I saw this fight, I pictured this fight multiple times in my head. I studied both Whyte and Fury, and I thought, okay, if Fury's going to try and come in and, have his moments of bursting in with these, 1-2 punches or just being aggressive on Dillian Whyte, trying to clinch him, then I thought, okay, Dillian Whyte's going to counter with a left hook or, this overhand right and stuff, right? And I also thought he was going to counter to the body as well. And, ultimately I thought, okay, Dillian Whyte stylistically is going to be a bad matchup for Tyson Fury. And he didn't do any of that, right? He was trying to out jab Tyson Fury. I don't know why you would do that, right? Because Dillian Whyte, I mean, he doesn't have the worst jab. I'm not saying he has the worst jab in boxing or in the heavyweight division, but he doesn't have the best, let's be honest, right? And, it's I don't know what it is with these fighters, like Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, you know what I mean, all these other boxers who they try to outmatch their opponent, outskill their opponent. They have this mindset of, okay, so this guy's considered to be the best boxer of all time. Let me try and outbox him, right? Rather than just working to your strengths. You know what I mean? And Dillian Whyte didn't do that. He wasn't working that body like a heavy bag. You know what I mean? He wasn't trying to counter Fury or any of that stuff, right? He wasn't defending properly, right? His defense was very lackluster in this fight. And the thing is, I told you guys that I thought that, Whyte would be a worse matchup for Fury than Deontay Wilder. Because we know the blueprint to beating Deontay Wilder is to, pressure him and put him on his back foot, right? Because we know he isn't a better counterpuncher than Dillian Whyte, or even a better defensive fighter than Dillian Whyte. Yes, Wilder punches harder with that right hand anyway, but he doesn't just have a hard right hand. He also has a hard left hook and uppercut. You know what I mean? But it's like, somehow Dillian Whyte managed to look worse than Deontay Wilder, right? I mean, I'm convinced at this point that maybe Deontay Wilder's a better boxer than Dillian Whyte, right? Considering Dillian Whyte was trying to, I don't know, he just looked so slow and sluggish in this fight. He looked like he wasn't defending properly. He wasn't doing anything, in terms of, high boxing IQ. And Deontay Wilder had more success than Dillian Whyte. Actually, Dillian Whyte somehow managed to get knocked out or stopped quicker than Deontay Wilder in their second fight. Do you know how ridiculous that is? I mean, it's just, and look, I'm not saying Wilder's necessarily a bad boxer or anything, but I'm talking about stylistic matchups and the fact that Tyson Fury, he's, in my opinion, a bad matchup for Deontay Wilder, or not necessarily a bad matchup, but a worse matchup for Deontay Wilder than someone like Dillian Whyte. But somehow Dillian Whyte looked worse than Deontay Wilder in both fights, right? I mean, this makes me give Deontay Wilder more credit than Dillian Whyte because, like I said, Dillian Whyte, I don't know what he was trying to do in this fight. You know what I mean? I mean, I know I've said that probably 5 times in this video, but it's true, right? So I don't know. The thing is, and bro, you constantly get knocked out with an uppercut. Why does this guy always not, he never learns from the uppercut, right? He got knocked out by an uppercut from Anthony Joshua. He got knocked down with an uppercut by Oscar Rivas. He got knocked out again with an uppercut by Alexander Povetkin, right? He got knocked out, and now he gets knocked out again or stopped. I mean, it's not a knockout. It's a knockdown, but just whatever, right? It's still he got stopped. So, I mean, I expected Dillian Whyte not to get knocked down with an uppercut or get rocked with an uppercut in this fight. Especially, we know that Tyson Fury isn't the hardest puncher in this division, right? And look, I know Dillian Whyte's defense, or Dillian Whyte's chin isn't all that great, right? But I thought, okay, well, at least he's, defensive-wise, he's better than Deontay Wilder. Somehow Wilder's, he was better defensively than Dillian Whyte. You know what I mean? Because Dillian Whyte in this fight, I don't know, he just wasn't using his defense properly. He was reacting to everything that Tyson Fury was doing. He was reacting to feints. You know what I mean? He was, over moving his head, all over the place. You know what I mean? Where he was, keeping his head down and all that stuff. Right? And his defense was just, it wasn't there. And that's how he got caught with an uppercut. You know what I mean? And it's you got knocked out, or you got knocked down by a guy who uppercuts himself in the face. When Tyson Fury fought Lee Swalby, right, he punched himself in the face, in the nose with an uppercut. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know. I'm not saying Tyson Fury doesn't have any power, right? But I'm just saying that, come on, man. I mean, like I said, I don't hate, hate Tyson Fury or anything like that. I don't hate Dillian Whyte, but I don't know. I just wanted to see Fury get tested in this fight, right? But Whyte had nothing for him, you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's a shame because I did want to see Tyson Fury improve. Or not improve necessarily, but just show what he's really about. Because when he fought Klitschko, I was like, okay, well, you fought an unmotivated Klitschko, right? And one that was allegedly injured as well. You know what I mean? And when you fought Wilder, I mean, Wilder was, I don't want to say a better test than Klitschko, but was younger and, had power in that right hand. That was it, you know what I mean? But against a young, in their prime, technical, motivated fighter, how would he do against? And against Dillian Whyte, I mean, Whyte just didn't have anything for him. You know what I mean? And it's not that, I mean, a part of it is that Tyson Fury boxed really well in this fight. But a part of it is also because that Dillian Whyte just didn't show up with the right game plan. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, I've had this love-hate relationship with Dillian Whyte. Well, not love-hate, but I mean, you guys know what I mean, right? In that I just, there are times I think he's really overrated, right? But there's also times that I think he gives a lot of fighters in the heavyweight division problems. But, and in this fight, I thought he was going to give Tyson Fury problems stylistically. but he didn't. You know what I mean? There were even moments in the fight where he had opportunities to land that big left hook of his or that big counter right hand of his right on Fury's chin, right? There were moments in that, like he created angles on Tyson Fury, and there were openings to land a big shot, but he just didn't land a big. He didn't land it. He didn't throw it at all. He was just feinting the entire time. You know what I mean? And it was like, I don't know, man. It was disappointing on Dillian Whyte's end, right? I mean, I'm not like super upset about this fight. I mean, I'm nowhere near like as pissed off when Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk, right? You know, even though I do like, or I'm a fan of Usyk, you know, I am more of a fan of Joshua. But still, I don't know. The only thing I'm disappointed about in this fight is that Dillian Whyte just didn't give Tyson Fury the test he needed to show like how good of a heavyweight he was, or he is. You know what I mean? So that's that. In terms of this talk about Tyson Fury retiring, you know what I mean? Like him walking away as the greatest boxer of all time, and like yeah, I say that in quotes because it's just complete nonsense, right? But like apparently you can win a belt, a WBC belt, you can defend it twice against the same guy you won it against, right? One of those fighters being against the guy you won the belt against, right? And then you can just retire as the greatest of all time. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? But look, Tyson Fury, I don't think he's going to retire, right? I think he's going to keep fighting. I think it's just a circus act. It's just a way of him to create this, like, I don't know, weird storyline with his fans or whatever and all that stuff. And Tyson Fury does walk away. I'm not going to care, right? Because in my opinion, I think, you know, Usyk at this moment is probably a tougher challenge for anyone than Tyson Fury, right? And you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear this talk about Tyson Fury being the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. Like, he's better than Ali or Lennox Lewis or any of that stuff, right? You know what I mean? And like, I've got like, you know, in the past, I've had like all these, you know, Fury fanboys come onto my channel and like start saying all this stuff, right? So if you guys don't like this take, then go watch some other channel that, you know, supports Tyson Fury or sucks him off. You know what I mean? Because look, I'm not going to suck up to anyone. I'm not sucking up to Tyson Fury. I'm not sucking up to Dillian Whyte. And I'm not even sucking up to Anthony Joshua or Alexander Usyk, right? I'm just going to say it how it is. So, yeah, I mean, that being said, like, Tyson Fury, he would have to beat Joshua and Usyk to even, like, be in that conversation. But even then, he still wouldn't be the best heavyweight of all time in terms of achievements. I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I still think Usyk beats Tyson Fury. I don't, like, look, Usyk will actually, like, the Usyk that Joshua fought, I think would have beaten Tyson Fury. Just my opinion, right? Because, like, Usyk is actually a better boxer than Dillian Whyte. He's quicker with his punches. He's a very skilled boxer, right? And the thing is, if you were getting beaten up all over the place by Otto Wallin, what do you think Usyk's going to do, right? He's a better southpaw than Otto Wallin, so, yeah. That's that. Anthony Joshua can still beat Tyson Fury if he just sorts himself out. But even then, it's like, I don't know. Joshua, he just needs to. He needs just better training. He needs better, like, I don't know. He needs like someone to like explain the things he needs to be that needs explaining to him. I don't know who that is, but he just needs it. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's pretty much my thoughts. Fury deserves credit for what he did, but Dillian Whyte just, right. And the thing that annoys me about this is that, you know, Dillian Whyte after this fight was like complaining to the ref and stuff. Like, what are you complaining for? At least Fury fucking threw a punch, right? At least he went in with the right game plan. Like, what were you trying to do, right? You were trying to, throw some feints here and there, tap to the body, right? And that was it, right? You didn't give anyone a test that night, right? That was like one of Tyson Fury's easiest top 5 opponents wins, you know what I mean? So that's that. Anyway, this video is going on for too long. I know this is a bit of a rant. I don't know, man. I'm just annoyed at Dillian Whyte in this fight. But that's that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think Fury's going to retire or not. Like, I'd like to hear your comments or thoughts in the comments below. That being said, I'm out. And yeah, take care and peace.